Bonjour, bonsoir, and welcome to another video. Okay, today's date is July the 17th, and it's 11:45 p.m. local time. Okay, before I get into this video, I gotta say it was a scorcher today. It was very, very hot. The temperature outside was about 40 degrees Celsius or 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Yeah, it was hot. Hot, 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 hot. And I live in Texas, and it gets scorching hot during the summertime here. Yeah, July is one of the hottest months in the summertime here in Texas. Yeah, and it sucks here. You can't go outside and enjoy nature because of how scorching hot it is. Because you stay outside, like you might pass out through a heat stroke. Yeah, you can drink water and keep yourself hydrated, which is good for you. Yeah, and this heat is not just good for older people. Yeah, it's not just good for older people. It isn't good. The heat here isn't good for older people. It's not good for young people. It's not good for anybody of any age. Because the weather here is atrocious, and it is. Yeah, I prefer a Mediterranean climate. I prefer that over the hot, humid heat here in East Texas, which is the eastern part of Texas. I prefer a Mediterranean climate. And I'm originally from California, and I miss the Mediterranean climate. Yeah, in a city that I used to live in with my parents, my sister, myself, and my late brother. My late brother was killed in a car accident. So God rest his soul. Um, yeah, lived in a city in California called Oceanside, California. If you're watching this video, you don't know anything. Do you know anything about Oceanside, California? Well, I do. Yeah, it's a coastal resort city. Yeah, the Oceanside Pier, Oceanside Harbor, um, all that nice stuff out there. Surfing competitions, the beach. You know, that's a place where you can go outdoors and enjoy yourself. Some you can't do here in East Texas. So yeah, so I'm nice and cool. I'm relaxed. I'm in bed doing this video. Got the lights turned off in the room that I am. Yeah, you wonder to yourself, like, why is this guy doing videos in the dark? Well, I'm doing this in the dark because, I just don't feel like doing a FaceTime video. I just don't feel like it if I feel like it. And I'm not ashamed to show myself, and I'm not. So anyway, on with this video. You saw the title of this video, and the title of it is "What Will Happen." Okay, what will happen? Okay, I got a better one. Okay, what will happen if my ancestors went with Harriet Tubman through the Underground Railroad and went up north to the northern U.S. and into Canada? That's right. If my ancestors choose to go with Harriet Tubman up north to the northern U.S. and into Canada, um, my parents, my sister, myself, and my relatives wouldn't be living here. We all wouldn't be living in Texas. We'll be living either in the northern states, in the northern U.S., or in Canada. But I'm going to choose Canada. So, all right. If my ancestors, well, people on my mother's side of the family and people on my father's side of the family, if my ancestors from both of these families, instead of them settling here in Texas, and they all chose to go up north with Harriet Tubman through the Underground Railroad and go up into Canada, I wouldn't be an American. I would be Canadian. Okay, what will a Canadian me would be like? Let's see. Well, for starters, I wouldn't be talking like an American. My accent will be completely different. I'll be talking like the Canadians. I will sound like this. What is all of this? What is all of this about? So I gotta go down to the recreation center. Oh my God. What in the world is this all about? And I'll be pronouncing my words the way the Canadians will be pronouncing their words. But I'm not going to say that all Canadians talk like this. It just depends on like what part of Canada my ancestors on both my mother and my father's side of the family would go to. Would they be living in the province of Ontario, like cities like Toronto, Windsor, Mississauga, Cornwall, Sault Ste. Marie. Let's see. Would he move out west to British Columbia, to cities like Surrey, Abbotsford, Vancouver, Langley, New Westminster or New West? Let's see. Victoria on Vancouver Island, Nanaimo, the Sanish Islands. Let's see. Or would they go to Nova Scotia? If that happens, I'll be a black Nova Scotian. Yeah. Well, what kind of life I'm gonna be living in Canada? Well, seeing how things are up there. Let's see. Okay, Donald Trump is like slapping tariffs on Canada like he's doing right now. And all the Canadians are boycotting the U.S. and they choose not to travel to the States. And they're going to travel to other parts of their country, or they're going to travel to other countries, as long as it's not the U.S. Will I join in on this boycott? The answer is yes, I would. I'm not gonna praise Canada through the roof, and I'm not. Yeah, I'm gonna love my country. I'm gonna stand up for my country, but I'm also gonna criticize it. There's some things I want to criticize about the country. Okay, most notably, let's see, healthcare. Yeah, Canada has a single payer universal healthcare system. I'm going to criticize it. I'm going to criticize the long wait times. People are put on a waiting list. And I'm going to point out the problem and say this. Well, the system isn't fully funded, and Prime Minister Mark Carney, the conservative neoliberal prime minister, who's not gonna in his liberal government is not gonna put funding towards the system. And also, I'm gonna bring up, well, the healthcare system doesn't cover dental, vision, hearing aids, and mental health. I'm gonna call that out. I'm gonna call that out, and I'm gonna do that. Yeah. But yeah, wherever it is that's negative in Canada, I'm going to criticize it, and I will, even though I don't live in that country. But I'm going to pretend like I am Canadian, and my ancestors choose to leave the U.S. as slaves and travel up north to Canada. Yeah, let's see. Okay, the federal election in Canada, what party am I going to support? Am I going to support the liberals? Am I going to support the conservatives? Am I going to support the Greens? The Black Québécois? The NDP, the New Democratic Party. Yeah, did I say the Greens? Yeah, the Greens and the People's Party of Canada. That's a far right, racist party in Canada. I'm gonna go with the NDP, because the NDP to me are the true liberals. Yeah. I would go for the NDP. I would go for the NDP. And I look at the conservatives and the liberals. They're just basically conservative and conservative light. The conservatives are conservative, and the liberals are the conservative light. Yeah, I say if I live in Ontario, will I support Premier Doug Ford, or will I? Yeah, will I? Okay, will I support Premier Doug Ford, or will I be against him? I'm going to be against Doug Ford because of what he's doing in Ontario. He's destroying the health care. He wants to move the health care in Ontario to a American-style health care system. And Danielle Smith in Alberta is doing the exact same thing as he is. And I heard that Doug Ford bought a jet out of taxpayer money. Yeah, I'll be. Yeah, I will be against what he's doing, and I wouldn't support Doug Ford. I will criticize him, and I will. Someone who lives in Ontario said Doug Ford is a jackass and an idiot. And seeing how he is, I watch Canadian television through YouTube. He had the CBC, CTV, Global News, and some Canadian radio stations that I listen to on TuneIn, Simple Radio, and Radio Garden. Yeah, I will view Doug Ford as a jackass and an idiot of what he's doing as Premier of Ontario. And I will come down on the voters who vote for him. Just like I come down on the voters who vote for Donald Trump here in the United States. Okay, Donald Trump talking about making Canada the 51st state. Now, a lot of Canadians are very insulted and pissed off at this. And you got some Canadian YouTubers like Guard the Leaf, Kellerman POV, wherever his name is, and Charlie Angus, the former member of the Canadian Parliament of Ottawa. He's a former NDP Parliament member. Yeah, and I hear Charlie Angus talk about we're not going to kiss the ring of the gangster in Mar-a-Lago. And he's bashing and ripping apart Donald Trump. When I hear as a Canadian, if I hear Donald Trump saying something like saying that my country should be the 51st state of Canada, will I be as pissed off as the Canadians? Yes, I would. I would be angry a little bit. I'll also be laughing because I will view this as a joke. Now, I know Canadians are taking what Donald Trump is saying seriously, but at the same time, a lot of Canadians are ignoring him. Will I ignore Trump? Yeah, I would. Because everything that he says has basically went over like a fart in church. And that's how I would treat it. I probably would ignore everything that he says. I probably wouldn't respond to anything that he says. Yeah, and politicians in Ottawa, Parliament-wise, if they send their condolences to a dead senator who disrespected my country, who's a warmonger, who's a bloodthirsty person who's all about war and killing people. I mean, and some Canadians choose not to, and other Canadians choose not to say anything. You got people from other countries like Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum, who chooses not to say anything. I mean, will I choose not to say anything about the dead senator? And he's from South Carolina here in the U.S. Will I choose not to say anything to him? Will I choose not to say anything about him and send my condolences to his family? No. I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to hear it, not say anything, and just move on. Just move on with my life. Because to me, I mean, I'm going to send condolences to people who are good, who do the right thing, who respects other countries. I'm not going to send my condolences and respect to someone who disrespects my country and all about war and killing people in other countries and invading other countries. No, I'm not going to do it. And yeah, going back to the people in Canada who are boycotting the U.S. Okay, if I hear California Governor Gavin Newsom says this, I see this online as a Canadian living in Canada, and I hear California Governor Gavin Newsom saying this. Oh, please, Canadians, I love you. We in California, we love you. We want you. We want you Canadians to visit California. Please visit California. We love you. Please come back. And as a Canadian, I will say this. No. With a maple leaf. Yeah, that's what I would say. Yeah, because I'm not going to a country that has a flag with stars and stripes on it. And if I cross that border and go into that country, I'm going to be treated badly by the U.S. Border Customs and Protection Agency, where they call them, U.S. Border Patrol or Customs, whatever you call them. Yeah, they're going to fingerprint me, look at my devices, and throw me into a holding cell and treat me very badly. And yeah, I heard about some dumb Canadian. I don't know what part of Canada that he lives in, Ontario. He crossed the border into the U.S. to join the No Kings rally. And he went through fingerprinting and being treated like dirt by U.S. Border Customs and Protection. Treated like dirt by them. And he was put in a cell. And some Canadians who saw this, and they said this, serves him right for going there. He deserved what he gotten. And if I was a Canadian, I would say the exact same thing. I would say this. That guy, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Is he stupid or something? Yeah. Does he see what us Canadians are doing? We're boycotting the U.S. because President Donald J. Trump of the U.S. is disrespecting our country. He's disrespecting our sovereignty. Saying that our country should be the 51st state of the U.S. And this idiot going to break the boycott and travel to the U.S. to be part of the No Kings rally. I'm going to say this. Well, he deserved what he has gotten. So he dug a grave for himself, and he has to lie in it. That's what I would say as a Canadian. Yeah. Yeah, and also, there's another dumb Canadian. This Canadian is a woman who has a daughter. And she went on YouTube and saw this guy who lives in Texas, who's a tattoo artist, who runs a tattoo parlor. So this idiot travels to the leaves Canada and travels to the U.S. to meet this guy because she loves this guy and she marries this guy. And okay, I think that when the couple went to Mexico to spend some time, and when they returned to the US and they entered Texas, the woman and her daughter were seized by Border Patrol and was printed, and they were put in a holding cell. And the husband was furious about this. Yeah, I'm going to say this. Stupid. Dumb. You know, and as a Canadian, I will say this. I will never, ever set foot on American soil ever again. Some Canadians say that they'll come back to the U.S. if Donald Trump is out of office. And will I agree with these people? Of course I would. But I guess some Canadian who's gonna stumble on this video and probably ain't gonna say anything and just probably feature me on their YouTube channel or probably won't say anything in the comments. You know, that's fine with me, you know. You have a right to be silent, you have a right to speak. It's up to you. But yeah. Yeah, I will stay. Yeah, I will stay with that boycott. I'm not traveling to the US. And just travel to other countries or just travel to different parts of Canada. That's what I would do. I'll just take my Canadian dollars and spend them somewhere else. Spend them in another country. And not in the US. Yeah. Also, yeah, on the 51st state that Donald Trump has made, he said that if Canada becomes the 51st state, and this was a while back, he said that Canada will have great health care. And I hear this, I'm going to say this. I'll probably laugh. I will laugh my ass off at this, at what he said. And I'll say to myself, okay, why would me, as a Canadian, will give up universal health care for medical bankruptcies? Why would I give up a healthcare system that's guaranteed to me and everybody in my country, regardless of income? And we can choose our own doctor. We can go to any walk-in clinic or hospital that we want. And also, if we have a job and if we have a job and we don't like the job that we have, we can quit our job and get another job, or we can go back to school. And it doesn't matter what we do. We will all retain our health care because our health care isn't tied to our employer like health care to Americans in the United States. Why would we Canadians give all of that up? We're not going to give that up. We love our healthcare system, you know, even though it isn't perfect and it has its problems, it has its issues, but it's way better than what Americans are getting when it comes to healthcare. And also, why would we give up strict, rigid reasonable gun control, for loose, lax gun laws, where mass shootings that happen all the time and people get killed in mass shootings, children getting killed through school shootings, adults, children, and everybody in public are getting killed left and right by mass shootings at shopping malls, grocery stores, parks. Yeah, like, why in God's name would me and every Canadian in the great white north will give up our gun laws, strict, rigid, reasonable gun control laws, for all of that mess? We're not going to give all that up. So we're happy with what we have. So the Americans can have their garbage, because we Canadians don't want their garbage. We don't want their rubbish. We don't want it. Because we live in a country that's true north, strong, and free. We live in a country that's the true north, strong, and free. Merci. Merci beaucoup. Vive la Canada. Vive la Canada. Long live Canada. And oh yeah, if I was Canadian, I'll be fluent in French, because that's the language that I want to learn. What kind of French will I be speaking in Canada? Will I be speaking Franco-Ontarian, Quebecois, Acadian? I think I'll be speaking Quebecois. Quebecois français. Quebecois français. Quebec French. Hope I'm saying that right. Quebecois français. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, also I'll be eating poutine. French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. Now, I won't be eating this all the time, because, I gotta watch what I eat. Yeah. I haven't tried poutine, but if I go to Canada one day, I might try that. Poutine, French fries, cheese curds, and gravy. Bon appetit. Yeah, and I'll be drinking Perrier with this stuff. And I'll also be drinking Clearly Canadian sparkling water beverage. I tried that stuff, by the way. That stuff is good. Yeah, I stopped drinking it because it was making me gain a lot of weight. That stuff doesn't have any high fruit. That stuff does not have no high fructose corn syrup in it. And also, as a Canadian, I'll be open with the idea of foods in Canada being way more healthier than foods in the US. How about Canada adopts the ban on the artificial junk that food in America has? Yeah, Canada takes that ban all the junk that the American food has. Ban it all, and the foods in Canada will be healthier for me and all Canadians. And going back to Canada's single payer universal healthcare system. You know some? I think dental, vision, hearing aids, and mental health should be included into the system and put more funding towards the system so that can deal with the wait time issues and people being thrown on a waiting list. So and the doctors and nurses should be paid way more in the system because they got a very hectic job. And my hat goes off to these people who are doing their job. And also there's a doctor in Canada that I have a lot of respect for. Her name is Dr. Danielle Martin. And I have nothing but respect for her, and I wish she was my doctor instead of the doctor that I have here in the U.S., who's from India. He's a terrible doctor. I'm not going to say his name. He's horrible. He's bad. He has a bad, dilapidated heart machine that he used to check people's hearts on. And this thing reads and tells that people have irregular heartbeats. And this thing is old and dilapidated. And if he was a doctor in Canada or in the EU or in Europe, they would expect the people would inspect his heart machine, and they will bust him. He won't be practicing as a doctor at all. Yeah, he would. Yeah, he wouldn't. But he's in the U.S. He will get away with it. So, I think that's all I gotta say in this video on what will I be like if I lived in Canada, if my ancestors decide to go with Harriet Tubman through the Underground Railroad and head up north from where they were living at to up north in Canada, to the US, to the northern US states or in Canada. Yeah. But, I'm not going to praise Canada through the roof, and I'm not. I don't hate Canada, and Canada is a beautiful country, and it is a country where, you got a lot of people who are unified. Everybody is together. Everybody's sticking together. And that's a strong country right there. And the United States is a weak country. And I made some videos in the past about Canada on this channel. I criticize some things in the country, but I don't hate the country. I made some criticisms about the country. And also I criticize the US. I'm not pro-Canadian and I'm not pro-American. And I'm not. So, at the end of the day, both Canada and the United States, they're not better than one another. They both are bad countries with issues. And they do. And former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said it best. He said that Canada is not a perfect country. We Canadians are not going to pretend like we're perfect. We have problems, and we do. And I respect that. No country in the world isn't perfect. All countries have their problems. But their problems are not in the extreme as problems here in the United States. So there. Alright, I think that's all I gotta say in this video. More videos to come. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir. And vive la Canada. Vive la Canada. Long live Canada. And to all you Canucks who are watching this video, if you are Canadian, if you're watching this video, yeah, keep up the boycott. Keep up the booze ban. Tell Donald Trump to go fuck himself if he brings up the 51st state thing. Tell Trump to go fuck himself. Tell that big fat orange piece of shit to eat shit and die. All right. Merci beaucoup. Vive la Canada. Au revoir.